Hi, I'm Jennie Strickland, the Director of Professional Services at Sharedo, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about the experience of implementing Sharedo and the kind of thought process that you might want to go through so that you make the best of our no-code product and you get a successful implementation for both you and for your clients as well. We're going to talk about 4 different concepts. We're going to talk about how to think about implementing Sharedo across your organisation and what's the right way of doing that to get success for you. We're going to talk about thinking about your work type hierarchy, so the kind of work that you're going to be doing within your organisation. We're going to talk a little bit about how to make the most of our accelerator packs, so within the no-code solution, how we can rapidly deliver a Sharedo. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about the delivery approach that you may want to adopt in your Sharedo implementation. So, choosing your approach, a really important part of your Sharedo implementation, thinking through how your organisation is going to get the best benefit out of the no-code product and really how you go about rolling that system out throughout your organisation. So we recommend that you use a continuous process improvement approach. So when you first implement Sharedo into your organisation, you'll put in a part of that and then gradually and iteratively improve your implementation over time. And because Sharedo is no code, it's really easy to do, and we have lots and lots of help for you and your configurators to learn how to get the best out of the product. So when you start to think about implementing Sharedo across your organisation, first thing to think about is what kind of coverage you want across the organisation. And the second thing is what kind of depth. So by coverage, I mean that within your organisation, you might do lots and lots of different types of work. So if you're within law, maybe you do some disputes, you do some real estate. So are you going to put Sharedo across all of those areas, or are you going to choose certain areas to go into first? The second thought that you need to think about is to what depth you're going to go. So for very artisan work, maybe you want to implement Pace Light. So you'll use Sharedo for just doing documents, for doing emails, for looking into your practice management system, for example. Or maybe you want to do some really tight, straight through processing work in Sharedo. So there's 3 approaches that we recommend that you consider. So first of all is the high coverage, low complexity approach. So this is where you roll Sharedo out across your firm, and you do quite a low complexity implementation. So maybe focusing workflow on your common processes. So in legal world, that could be your matter inception and your matter closure. And then over time, you can then build up complexity. So start to look at different areas of work, look at your pain points, think about where you can get the most benefit out of the project. But you immediately get benefit across the organisation by doing that high coverage, low complexity rollout. Option number 2 is that you do focused coverage. So what we mean by that is that you're going to focus on a particular area of your business and go to a very deep depth in there. So look at all of the elements of that business where Sharedo can bring value to both you and your clients, map out all of your processes, implement your processes, and then you can then iterate that approach across your business. So you're doing it almost work type by work type or group of work type by work type. The benefit of that is for things like high volume workflow, you immediately get the kind of resource saving, you get the cost savings in that area of the business. The third approach that you can do is actually to mix those approaches together and do a little bit of both at the same time. And that's quite a common approach. So it may be that you roll out a kind of lighter Sharedo across the entirety of the business, but at the same time also pick 1 or 2 areas of the business where you want to go down to that greater depth. One of the advantages of doing that approach is that it also helps your teams to build up your experience of implementing Sharedo. When we do Sharedo implementations, we like to work collaboratively, and the first implementation we use very much as a teaching experience to pass over knowledge. So whichever approach you choose, you need to match that up to your organisational need and how you can bring the best benefit to you and to your clients. So So the next part of the implementation that you need to think about is your work type hierarchy. It's a really, really important part of setting the foundation for your Sharedo project. So when you start to think about the work types that you're going to implement, you need to think about whether you're going to be working across different jurisdictions, how you want to group together work types, and also from a perspective of having a system that's really easy to maintain from an operational perspective, thinking about where you've got commonalities. So for example, if we're doing real estate, then there's lots of configuration that we can do at the top level that can then roll down. And that means if you want to create new work types in the future, it's really, really easy because all of the parties, all of the key dates, all of the screens will copy down. So working out your work type hierarchy is a really important part of the process, and we've got some really great best practice information on help.sharedo.co.uk on how to do this. And of course your Sharedo consultant will help you work through that process. But it's a really important foundational element of any project. And even if you're going for the approach of focusing on a particular piece of work to start with, it's really good to think about where you want to end up in terms of your implementation. Now we're going to talk about solution accelerators. So one of the really great things about Sharedo and the way that you can benefit from rapid no-code implementation is by using some of our solution accelerator packs. The solution accelerator packs give you all of the building blocks that you need to deliver different work types. So for example, if you want to deliver real estate, we have solution accelerator packs for things like residential property, for commercial property. But what does that mean? So a solution accelerator pack has in it all of the screens that you're going to need, all of the parties, the key dates, the workflow. And it's a really, really great way to quick start your project, because as soon as you start to talk to the business about what's going to be delivered as part of that project, there's something that you can feel and touch and see and walk through with the business. So a really important part of your implementation is looking at your work type hierarchy, having a look at what solution accelerators you can benefit from as a partner, and then matching those up so you've got that lovely quick start implementation. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the delivery phase of the project. So you've decided on your organisational approach. We've decided which work types and which accelerator packs we're going to implement. So now it's time to actually go ahead and start to deliver your Sharedo project. So the way that we usually go about delivering a Sharedo project is by breaking it down into 4 different phases. We start off with the definition phase, so super important part of the process, and the part of the process that builds up your blueprint for your implementation. So just like with building a house where you think about foundations, you design, you think about where the sockets are going to go, with a Sharedo implementation, it's really important to go through the process of defining how you translate your business requirements into something that is a really, really lovely solution for your business and also for the client. So during the definition process, we run a series of workshops that produce a high-level design. And that high-level design really gives us the foundation and the blueprint for everything we're going to do. It also gives you the timescales and the project plan for your project as well. So that means everybody understands what's going to be delivered, how it's going to be delivered, who's going to deliver it. So super important part, but it's normally quite rapid. So a definition period you can usually expect to be 2 to 3 weeks. Then you go to construction. So now that you've got your design, we can now break that down into all of the bits of no-code configuration that will be done as part of the project. We often build that up into a backlog of work, so a list of all the configuration that needs to be done. That can be assigned out to all the different people who are going to work on the project. Now, one of the most important things about construction is making sure that the business is involved in that process. So we recommend breaking down your construction process into 2-week sprints. And at the end of each of those 2-week sprints, doing a playback to the business. And what that means is that in lots of old school development, IT would go off and they'd deliver the project, and then you'd get something at the end that maybe wasn't quite as everybody expected. But By constantly playing back to the business, it means that everybody is bought into what's being delivered. We know what's being delivered is right, and it also means that you can kind of constantly refine those requirements, get the users engaged, and make sure that what's delivered at the end of the project is a really, really quality thing that delivers the business value that you need and that your clients need. Once the construction process is complete, then we move into transition. So transition is all about the final belt and braces testing. So usually this is a formal user acceptance test of the project. So users will come in, will do some kind of formal end-to-end tests, and they'll sign off the project. But it's also about more than that. It's about getting the business ready to work within your new Sharedo implementation. So things like change management activities, training, setting up the support process. And we have a really lovely standard handover to support process that we run as part of any project. At that point, you're ready to go live. Once we're live, we go into support mode. So that means that we'll be working with your support teams to go through your Sharedo implementation. And of course, because Sharedo is no code, that means that you can also start your process of continuous process improvement. So even though you've finished your first implementation of the product, you're going to be constantly looking for refinements, places you can improve, ways that you can deliver more business value, and also of course moving with what your clients are demanding. And because Sharedo is a SaaS solution, there'll be new functionality coming in all of the time that you can take advantage of. So for your delivery process, definition is your blueprint. Construction is your build process with lots and lots of business interaction, lots of constant feedback. Transition is making sure that all the gateways are passed, all of the checks and balances that need to be done are there. And then we go into the support model. I hope that's helped you, and we look forward to starting your Sharedo journey with us.